everybody. Excuse me. It's 2 o'clock approximately. We're going to begin this public hearing. Once again, I'd ask everybody who would like to speak, the sign-up sheets here to my left. I'm more than welcome to sign up, please. There's also copies of the proposed rules and regulations. All right. There's also the way the process works. We'll give people 3 to 5 minutes to speak. I'll time, and then I'll let you know as it goes. Make sure everybody has an opportunity to talk. So before that, I'm going to say it's 2 o'clock. It's Friday, 6, 2017. Officially opening this public forum to receive public comment. The Department of Transportation, State of Rhode Island, is sponsoring this process. It's a Rhode Island government. What's before us is proposed rules and regulations governing procedures involving the non-payment of tolls, toll evasion, and public involvement. The public notice was put up on September 19, 2017. The comment period ends October 19, 2017. This is the public hearing within that time frame. It was properly notified and noticed on the Secretary of State's webpage and following all the appropriate state statutes concerning promulgating of rules and regulations. I have handed a copy of the entire proposed rules and regulations to the stenographer. She will enter that into the record, so it's part of the process. The public hearing was notified to be held on October 6, 2017 at 2 p.m. in Conference Room 2B of the Rhode Island Department Administration, 1 Capitol Hill, Providence, Rhode Island. So at this point, and then also comments are invited. All interested parties are invited to submit written or oral comments concerning the proposed regulations by October 19th, 2017. And of course, and they have the appropriate mailing addresses, email addresses, and etc. And today is the receiving of any public comment. So with that, once again, anybody who would like to speak, please feel free to sign up. Karen, could you give me the sign-up sheet? To the right is the stenographer, to the left is the table, and I ask, you have the sign-up sheet? Yes. Thank you very much. So if we could, people can then come forward, sit at the table, the mics are there, the stenographer can hear you clearly, and of course, all the other elements of the press and etc. I will be able to hear and video and record. So I have, so I can guess we can start with, is it Senator Morgan? Is Senator Morgan here?
She is.
Great. Come forward. And then if you could, just state your name, address, and etc. and title so the stenographer can have it properly put into the record, please.
Certainly.
Thank you very much, and you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, you don't turn it, it's already on.
Oh, it's already on? Thank you. My name is Senator Elaine J. Morgan, and I represent District 34, which is Hopkinton, Richmond, Exeter, West Greenwich, and Charlestown. I want to thank you for having this on a Friday afternoon right before a long weekend, so we have such a big crowd here today. I had to delay my plans of going away today to make sure I came, but I did. This is an important topic because it's our liberties, our civil liberties are being stamped upon. I mean, we already have a surveillance system in place on all the highways. DOT has all the globe cameras. Is there a reason why we can't utilize those cameras instead of some sweet deal someone is getting to put in this surveillance system, which is going to cost us a good large chunk of money? It's not fair. It's invasion of our privacy. I remember, I go back to a show on a silly cartoon, The Simpsons, and the whole town was surveillance, and there was a little spot in somebody's yard, so everybody went to this spot in the yard to do whatever they wanted to do and not be watched. It's just Orwell, 1984. It's against our rights. We shouldn't have to. There needs to be, first off, plans. There's no plans for all of this memory bank, all of this stuff that's being recorded can be used, it can be sold to a third party. There are no insurances in place of how this material is going to be used. So I think there's a big issue with that. There's a big issue with our amendment rights. And I think that it's a horrible proposal. And I think somebody is making some big money on a sweet deal for this. So we ask you not to put the surveillance cameras on our tolls, on the gantries. Is that where they're supposed to be going? On the gantries, I'm assuming. They can be used for a lot of commercial uses. There needs to be precautions in place for this system. So we're asking you actually not to do it. And if there needs to be precautions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, is it, if I said the last name wrong, I apologize. Is it Marcela Betancur? So, thank you. Please come forward, state your name, etc. All the information so the stenographer has it for the record. And you have the floor. Right.
Thank you. My name is Marcela Betancur. I'm the policy associate for the ACLU of Rhode Island. We submitted official comments on Wednesday night, and we actually have supplemental comments to add. It has been brought to our attention that it is the Department of Transportation's intentions to put the policy together or regarding privacy. Today, the director announced that he is willing to make regulations regarding privacy, and these are needed, in our opinion, as our testimony relates, in order to provide accountability, transparency, enforceability regarding privacy procedures, which are lacking in the rules and regulations that we are here about today. Formal regulations will provide the public with an opportunity to speak and provide testimony as to why privacy is important and how the procedures will affect them directly. Additionally, privacy regulation should focus on parameters specifically to access, storage, and retention and deletion of information that is captured by the system and the toll gantries. Additionally, regulations, if they are put together, they need to be done in time before the first toll gantry is put up. So while we appreciate that the department has come forward saying that they agree that regulations can be put in place, when they have also mentioned that they will look into the policy currently by the Turnpike and Bridge Association. We briefly took a look at that policy, and it does need to be strengthened. There are some parts of concern, so we do hope that before this is put into a regulation, parts of that are taken into consideration and strengthened, and we look forward to working on it. But we want to make sure that this does go into effect before the end of the year. Like I said, before the first gantry goes it starts working.
Thank you. Is there Senator Sherry Roberts?
Thank you.
Just state your name, etc.
I'm State Representative Sherry Roberts, District 29.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions. One of them is, since we have transponders on trucks, why would we be scanning license plates?
I think this is a public comment period now.
Okay. Well,
So we're receiving your comments on the proposed rules and regulations.
Okay, are we going to have a question period after this?
This is a public forum to receive public comments about the proposed rules and regulations. That's that process. Sure, it's a state statute process.
Okay, so
we're receiving public comments
Okay, so I can
on the
wait.
proposed rules. Did you get a copy?
I did. I haven't read the whole thing, but are we going to have? Are you going to be answering questions for people as well following this?
This forum is just to receive public comments.
Okay, so there is no forum in which to take questions and get answers now.
There may be, but not in this particular forum. This is to receive public comments.
Okay, so not at the end once you're done presenting what you want to present and everybody's done talking, there won't be a chance for questions. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Something's wrong with that. It's not fair to the public.
Thank you. Is there Mr., is it Collins?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Mike Collins, Gatsby Business Network here in the trucker. The collection of data by the toll gantry systems. I run a trucking company. We run throughout the country. We use the Easy Pass system. We coordinate our Easy Pass system with the type of vehicle we're running, and we get charged accordingly. I don't understand the necessity to collect all this other data that can be later sold for financial gain. It can be sold to insurance companies, it can be sold, and it can even establish a vehicle mileage tax against the people. This data is dangerous. I think we all need to learn a lesson of what happened with Equifax a couple of weeks ago. And now we're going to do the same thing to the travelers and the people of Rhode Island, of what's coming through here and capturing their data. Who's going to put it up for sale? Who's to say it's not for sale? You know, everybody's personal agenda here is up for grabs. That's what it seems like. It's bad enough, you know, the tolls, and we're not here to argue that. But with that going said, there's no reason why personal data should be compromised. At whose expense, and at what expense are we doing this for? And everybody's sitting here. You people all need a point of concern. It's not just us here in the room, it's yourselves. What is going to happen with this data? Where does it go? We can't keep our credit card numbers safe. And now we're worried about license plates, driver's licenses, where have you been at 5:30 in the morning? You know, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Once again, would anybody like to speak? Could you please sign up? Karen, is any more sign-ups?
Can I say one more thing? Thank you.
If you'd like to. Just once again, state your name.
Statement.
So it's for the stenographer, please.
Thank you. Senator Morgan, District 34, Hopkinton, Richmond, Exeter, West Greenwich, and Charlestown. As I was sitting there, it came across to me that I received a letter from the property and casualty. This supposedly, under the bill, this bill would be for insurance purposes, to make sure that no one is driving through our state without insurance. That was why they wanted to originally put it. Well, we received letters from the Property and Casualty Association of Insurances, and they are opposed to this bill also. They don't understand why that, they think it's against our liberties, but they were opposed to the bill also. So just wanted to state that fact. Thank you.
Thank you. So once, excuse me? Yes. Is it Sherry Roberts?
Yes, State Representative Sherry Roberts. So I just would like to simply state that since we have transponders on the truck, I don't think that there would be any need for the license plate scanners. And secondly, there were safeguards promised to the people, and that's what they're expecting, because this could have far-reaching implications if not. That's what I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, if anybody would like to speak, please come forward and sign up. Madam Clerk, does anybody else have signed up on that, Karen?
No, go with the signatures.
Okay. Request again, if anybody would like to speak or put forward any public comment concerning the proposed rules and regulations, please do so. We'll wait a few minutes, just in case. While we're doing that, Madam Stenographer, Karen, can we just enter into these two, the public hearing sign-in sheets into the record? There are two sheets, and please enter into the record, I guess, that would be Exhibit A. We'll enter that as Exhibit B and Exhibit C, please. Please Please give it to the stenographer. Thank you.
Karen Frazier.
Sure. Would you like to enter the record? Sure.
And I can show it to you as well, if it's easier.
Well, you
Oh,
want to-
sorry.
You want to enter into the record, though?
Yes.
So, all right, so, Madam Stenographer, we have an exhibit, I guess it would be Exhibit D, and it's in theory, it's one page, it's on both sides. It's a letter from the ACLU dated October 6, 2017, and it's submitted by Marcela Betancur from the American Civil Liberties Union of Rhode Island. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I guess we'll make this as D. Is that right? We'll enter as an Exhibit D to the record first. So actually, we have John Vikovich. Come forward, sir.
Talk about great timing of that.
So you have the floor.
Thank you. Please excuse my tardiness. I wanted to talk about 1.4, toll collection penalties for late payments and toll evasion. A few years ago, the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority needed to deploy, do you mind if I sit?
That's what it's there for, sir.
The Department of Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority,
Madam, did he enter his whole name and address everything?
John Vikovich,
I'm sorry.
119 Hummock Avenue, Portsmouth, Rhode Island, 02871.
Thank you, sir.
Turnpike and Bridge Authority needed to deploy the open road tolling. Turnpike and Bridge Authority thought it was a good idea. The Turnpike and Bridge Authority took a lot of money from Vion Capital Management. They deployed the open road tolling. The agreement during that particular time frame was that the money that the Turnpike and Bridge Authority borrowed from the Vion Capital Management would be paid back in penalties and fines. And approximately 4 months later, after it was obvious that the fines were never going to pay that bond off, the Turnpike and Bridge Authority got the money together and paid Vion off. And there was a substantial penalty for doing that to the Turnpike and Bridge Authority. I'm very knowledgeable of what we did over at the Seconic. I'm very knowledgeable that the Turnpike and Bridge Authority is the only vehicle in the state of Rhode Island that's allowed to collect tolls. It's my understanding the Department of Transportation is not does not have tolling authority under the Federal Highway Administration. My very big concern is going to be, very simply, the disputes of tolls, the fees, the penalties, and toll evasion is not going to create the fund that I understand is necessary to pay the Turnpike and Bridge Authority for maintaining the Easy Pass charges that the Department of Transportation, Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority will incur. I had hoped to get here earlier so I could reread some of my other comments. Is there anybody else that's here to comment, or am I the only comment?
So far, you're
Okay.
the latest, sir.
Well, I only got this last night, so I didn't have a lot of time to review it, but I know this is about a proposed rule, and the way I remember the proposed rule-making work is that we have until, I believe it's October 19th to submit comments in writing. I don't want to, I'm not here to, I oppose the roadworks truck toll. I oppose the Seconic River Bridge toll. We wasted $4.3 million on the Secana River Bridge. That $4.3 million could have gone into our roads and bridges a lot better than, unfortunately, getting sucked up in the air. I understand that the Rhode Island Department of Transportation has 14 potential toll locations. I'm not sure I agree with the budget that the Turnpike, that the Department of Transportation is using to make us believe that this is all it's going to cost to build these gantries. I understand that there's going to be some legal issues when and if the gantries go up from the Rhode Island Truckers Association and potentially the American Truckers Association. I understand that the dormant Commerce Clause in our U.S. Constitution prohibits discriminatory tolling of different class of vehicles. I know that Governor Gina Raimondo and Director Peter Alviti have spent quite a bit of time on the roadworks truck toll. Tolling Rhode Island trucks is not the answer. Getting the General Assembly to fund the Department of Transportation, they have not been properly funded for over 30 years. Washing a bridge deck is not a really sexy thing. Opening a new school is a very good thing to do. So the General Assembly takes some of the blame for not funding the Department of Transportation, and that's why we're sitting here today and talking about toll evaders and fines. The Department of Transportation also has to learn how to spend money much more efficiently. As of late, I had an issue with the roadwork signs. I still don't believe the information that I got is valid with respect to the sign complaint that I lodged and that the Attorney General approved. We have to rethink the Rhode Island Department of Transportation truck toll. By the way, I do want to say that I found it interesting this morning when I did peruse this, that so you're a trucker and you don't pay the toll and you go through the toll, and 30 days later we're going to send you I think the penalty is $1.75, if I read that correctly in the red notes. And if you don't pay it after 60 days, we're going to send you another bill for another $1.75, and the third time we're going to do another $1.75. The estimates that were made by the previous chairman of the Turnpike and Bridge Authority felt that they were going to be able to pay off that Vion bond with toll violators. I don't see that being the case. I think that there's a lot of assumption and speculation in this particular document, in this particular hearing, relative to the amount of money that the state of Rhode Island needs to maintain the 14 gantries, the fees. I asked a simple question to my legislators recently. It's proposed that there's a $20 bill. If you're a trucker coming in from Westerly and you're going out through Attleboro, it's $20. I'd like somebody from the Turnpike and Bridge Authority, if that's the appropriate venue, because they're the ones that are going to be handling the money, or from the Department of Transportation, to tell me, after we get done paying the bond for the gantries, the maintenance, the Easy Pass fee, Turnpike and Bridge Authority handling the Easy Pass accounts, what's left for the Department of Transportation to spend on roads and bridges? No one's been able to give me that number yet. I am opposed to the Rhode Island Department of Transportation roadworks truck toll. I am opposed to the rulemaking for the Department of Transportation bridge and tolls. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Once again, I'd ask if anybody would like to speak, please sign up. If anybody has, by the way, anybody has any exhibits or any comments or stuff, written stuff they'd like to enter into the record, I'm more than happy to take it now. Also, please aware that you have an opportunity to give written comment, email comments, if you go onto the website.
What is the deadline for that, the 21st?
It's the, it would be 10/19 is the end of the comment period, 2017. It opened up on 9/19.
Hi, I just have a question, actually not about the regulations that we're talking about today. A few months ago, they had a TIP meeting, they were gonna cut down public comment, what was it, from 30 days down to 10, and I noticed that this, they're gonna give 2 weeks. Did they change that?
Well, this is a, I don't,
Oh, can I ask you that after?
you have to wait till after. That's okay. Well, I can tell
Sign
you.
in, Rowan, and make it public record.
Roll, sign in.
Ask.
Oh.
First show, last.
Thank you. So, Mr. LaValle, can you just please
Yeah.
state your name, address, et cetera, for the record, so that
My
stenographer
name
can
is
take it down?
Roland LaValle, it's spelled Ladallee. Address is 309 Sharon Street, Providence, Rhode Island. I'll rephrase my question in the form of a comment. I think this panel should explain why I think it was the previous public comment period was 30 days, but this has been allowed 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks. Was that a change, if you could announce later on, that this was decided by the TIP Commission? That's about the only comment I have.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So, what was the last exhibit, Madam Clerk? The letter? D, okay. So we'd like to enter this public sign-in sheet as, you said D, so this would be E, and then we have F. Enter into the official record, please. Thank you. Once again, if anybody would like to speak, sign up. We're about to close this hearing, about form. Once again, I ask anyone who would like to speak, please come forward. Sign up. Once again, I'll ask one more time, would anybody like to speak and come forward? Madam Stenographer, this public forum receiving public comment concerning the proposed rules and regulations governing procedures involving the non-payment of tolls, toll evasion, and public involvement is hereby closed.